from the plane from Kenya to New York. As she walked into JFK Airport, her whole world changed instantly. She was fascinated by the people she saw at the airport. She was staring at people, fascinated by the diverse crowd of people and bustling energy of the American airport. The efficiency and pace of everything felt overwhelming, yet exhilarating to her. As soon as she stepped out of the airport, she was hit by the cold and breezy wind. Akot screamed and ran back inside the airport, shaking. Hey, Akot screamed. Why didn't the agency I bought the traveling ticket not tell me it was winter in America? I would have brought some jackets and sweaters. She was shivering and staring at the snow. Akot, sitting on a couch in her friend's living room. Her friend Lisa, an African-American woman in her 30s, sat beside her, both of them drinking coffee. Lisa said to her, "So, Akot, you've been in America for what, 6 months now? How is it going? I remember you being so excited before you got here." Akot smiled. "Oh, Lisa, I was excited. In fact, overexcited when I got admission into a nursing program in New York. Yes, but girl, nothing could have prepared me for this. Nothing, oh. I thought I was ready, We learn English in school back in Kenya, but no one tells you that British English and American English are like two completely different languages." Lisa, oh, I can only imagine. I know it can be tough coming from Africa. What was the biggest surprise for you? Of course, where do I start from? He laughs. Okay, the language thing. It got me right at the airport. So, I landed in New York, right? And I was trying to find the restroom. In Kenya, we say lavatory. So I asked this guy, "Excuse me, where is the lavatory?" He just stares at me like I'm from another planet. And then he says, "Do you mean the restroom?" I was confused, Lisa. I told the guy, "I'm not sleepy. I don't need a place to rest. I just need to ease myself." The guy got more confused. Then a lady walked by. She heard our conversation and she said, "Oh, ma'am, it is called restroom, not lavatory." She smiled and took me to the restroom. Lisa laughs. I know what you mean. Americans have their own version of English, girl. You got to learn fast. Akot said. I did, oh, Lisa. It took me a while. And let me tell you, the word cool, I thought it meant cold, like literally cold. So one day, this girl at work says, "Oh, Akot, your dress is so cool." And I'm like, "But it's not cold, oh, it is warm today." The look on her face, she had no idea what I was talking about. And I had no idea she was giving me a compliment. Lisa laughing. It is very important. I see that happening. Americans say cool for everything, from clothes to food to pretty much anything. This is America. Everything good is cool. Still laughing. Akot said, "Ha, you are laughing." Then it was not a laughing matter at all. People need to study the country they are traveling to before they embark on their journeys. It is very important. But at first, it was so embarrassing. And don't get me started on other words like jumper. In Kenya, a jumper is a sweater. So one day, I tell someone, "I'm wearing my jumper today." They started laughing because here, a jumper is a dress. I was surprised. Lisa laughs. Lisa, I love this. So what else? Tell me more. How are you handling the cultural differences? Akot's phone rang. It was her mom calling from Nairobi. "Hello, Mama. How are you?" Okay, Ma. "Okay, Mama. I will work on it. Bye, Mama. I miss you too." Akot, looking at her phone, said, "When you step out of your country to a foreign land, the expectations back home can be very overwhelming. Some people purposely put their burdens on you. They think we pluck money from trees or pick money from the floor. It is terrible. Whenever I send money home to my parents, their friends, neighbors, some family members just appear from nowhere, boom, with stories of hardship. Stories like, my daughter gained admission into the university. We don't have money to pay for school fees. Oh, my mother is in the hospital. The hospital demands we pay before they can admit her. Or stories like, somebody fell from a tree or balcony. We have not eaten for 2 days, and so on and so on. I mean, I understand, but I can't help everyone. Lisa, looking at her friend, said, are there no provisions by the government for people who are in need? Akot, my friend, that is another story for another day. I need to rush down to the pharmacy to get some medications for my mom. Her sister is traveling to Kenya tomorrow. Akot got inside a cab. She remembered her first Thanksgiving dinner experience. She was so unprepared. Back home in Kenya, Kenyans don't have a day out of the 365 days of the year dedicated to Thanksgiving. So one day, she was checking her email at work and saw people talking about this thing called Turkey Day. She thought it was some kind of turkey festival or event where people celebrate turkeys or something. And everyone was like, are you excited for Thanksgiving? So she got invited to this Thanksgiving dinner, and she was nervous because she had never seen a turkey up close before. Kenyans don't eat turkey. They eat chicken, goat, beef. Yes, but turkey, no. So I arrived at the Thanksgiving dinner, and there was a giant roasted bird in the middle of the table, and people were passing around dishes she had never heard of. Stuffing, cranberry sauce, mashed potatoes. She didn't even know what to do, so she just smiled and nodded. And then when it was time to eat, everyone was saying what they were thankful for. In her head, she was like, am I thankful for surviving this confusion? She didn't even know what to say, but fumbled through it. She learned then that Thanksgiving is not just about the food. It is about family, togetherness, and gratitude. Later, she got the idea. It was like Kenya Christmas or Easter in Kenya, but with its own American twist. She actually loves it now that she understands it better. But that first time, so Akot got the medication and headed home. Later, Lisa called her to check on her. Akot said, thanks, I'm home now, just staring at the wall. Lisa asked why. Akot said, I miss home. You know, in Kenya, my mom has 2 house helps who help her at the store, and the other runs errands for her. I'm here doing everything by myself, for myself and for other selves. Lisa burst out laughing. What is other selves? Akot said, laughing, other people. I miss home. People don't understand. I miss my family. I miss my native dishes. I miss the smell of flowers, plants, the festivals. Then Lisa said, I feel you. I'm from Beaumont and I miss home a lot. I'll go home for Memorial Day holiday and we'll see everyone again, said Lisa. Akot, oh, Memorial Day, that was another one. Back in Kenya, we don't have a holiday quite like that. So when I saw everyone going all out, barbecues, parades, parties, I didn't know what it was about. I remember asking someone, what are you celebrating today? They explained that it is to honor the military and fallen soldiers. It was so touching. I didn't expect that level of patriotism. Lisa said, yeah, Memorial Day is a big deal here. People really come together to celebrate the history and sacrifices of the military. Akot. And then there is the sports. Girl, I didn't even realize how serious Americans were about their sports until Memorial Day weekend. Football. Oh, sorry, American football was everywhere. I thought football was soccer, but no, I was so confused. People were wearing jerseys, cheering, and I was just there not understanding a single rule of the game. Lisa laughing. That's classic. Americans take their sport so seriously. football, baseball, basketball. This is like religion for some people. Akot said, oh, I learned that real quick. There was much traffic one day and I asked why, and they told me there was a game. I didn't understand why a game would cause traffic jams everywhere. Now I know. Sports are a big part of the culture here, but the first time I was completely lost. Lisa said, so did you end up watching any games? Oh yes. I went to a Super Bowl party and that was my experience. At first, I had no idea what was going on, but by the end of the night, I was cheering with everyone else. I didn't even know what I was cheering for, but it was fun. Lisa laughed. That's the spirit. Sometimes it's less about understanding the game and more about the atmosphere and the people around you. Lots of barbecue, chicken wings, chips. Akot said, chicken wings? Let me make you laugh some more. A friend of mine from Sierra Leone went to a Chinese restaurant to buy some chicken wings. She speaks French but no English at all. So she approached this Chinese guy, gave him some money for the wings. The guy looked at the money and asked what it was for. My friend, knowing what she wanted, which was chicken wings, started flapping her arms like a chicken. The guy was confused. She opened her mouth and screamed, "Kukuruku!" like a rooster. That was when the guy understood her and gave her the chicken wings. Lisa laughed. Then there is this food size. Lisa, I thought I knew what to expect, but American portions? Hey, huge. I remember ordering a burger at this diner, thinking it would be a normal meal. They brought out this giant plate with a burger size of my face. Fries piled high. It was like 3 meals in one. I had no idea how people finish that much food. Lisa laughing. Oh yeah, portions here are no joke. Akot. And people here travel so much. I like that. Back home, most of the time we travel for weddings, funerals, or special events. But here, people travel just for fun. Weekend getaways, road trips. I had never seen anything like it. I realized that exploring is such a big part of the culture. I have been to some places and still counting. I love it. Lisa said, wow, you've been learning a lot. What would you say to someone back in Nigeria or Africa who is thinking of coming to the US? I got laughing. Oh, I will tell them to learn American English first, understand the slang. It is not just about speaking English. It's about understanding the way people here talk and also learn the culture. Don't come here thinking everything will be the same as back home. Every holiday, every event is different here. But once you embrace it, you will start to enjoy it. Lisa said, that's such a good advice. Anything else they should know? Oh yes, Akot said, be open-minded. You will make mistakes, you will get confused, but don't be afraid to laugh at yourself. America is a huge, diverse country with so much to offer, and it is okay to feel lost sometimes. That is the part of the journey. I'm going to make a video of stories of people's experiences in diaspora. People at home need to know what we're enduring here in a foreign land. Well, above all, I give thanks to God for my journey in life. Lisa said, I love that. Thanks for sharing your story, Akot. I think it is going to help a lot of people watching this on YouTube. Akot smiles. I hope so. It's been a wild ride, but I wouldn't trade this experience for anything. Lisa, well, here is to more adventures and to learning American football. Akot laughs. Oh yes, I'm ready for the next Super Bowl. Lesson learned. If you are planning to travel abroad, just remember, keep an open mind, be ready for surprises, and always ask if you are not sure. The journey might be unpredictable, but it is also unforgettable. Remember, with God, all things are possible. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
If you're enjoying this live, please do well to like, share, and subscribe to encourage us to bring you more amazing and educative contents.
Once upon a time, in the village of Shama, lived a goldsmith named Kojo. He was very good at his work. He would always carefully craft intricate jewelry and ornaments from gold, shaping the precious metal with skill and artistry. often creating pieces that hold deep cultural and personal significance for the villagers. He was loved by the king for his skills. He gave him one of his maids, Ajua, as wife. Kojo loved and cherished Ajua. Years later, they gave birth to a son, a child they had been praying and waiting patiently for. They were so happy. They named him Frempo. Ajua was very happy when she found out she was pregnant. She had become a subject among the village women. They would whisper about her condition to one another, making her feel uncomfortable. But finally, she would have her baby, and all the whispering would stop. The day she gave birth to Frempo, it was a day like no other. The moment he entered the world, the villagers knew something was amiss. Frempo did not cry as newborns do. His lips remained sealed, and his eyes, though bright, held a strange, unsettling calm. Days turned into weeks, and the silence continued. The villagers began to murmur, their whispers growing louder as Frempo grew older. He was a mute, unable to speak or even make a sound. To the superstitious villagers, this was a bad omen, a sign that Frempo was cursed. As Frempo grew, so did the cruelty of those around him. The other children mocked him, their laughter ringing in his ears as they called him names and pushed him around. Even his own family, ashamed of their son, kept him at a distance. They tried to love him, but fear and shame clouded their hearts. The village elders, believing Frempo's silence to be a curse, urged the king to act. The king, a stern man who ruled with an iron fist, could not afford to let such an omen linger in his kingdom. This boy brings misfortune upon us, he declared. For the safety of the village, he and his family must be banished. And so Frempo and his family were cast out of Shama, forced to leave behind the only home they had ever known. They traveled for days through thick forests and across rivers until they came upon another village called Tongo, far from the one that had rejected them. This village, though weary of strangers, allowed them to stay. In the village of Tongo, Frempo's silence was met with curiosity rather than scorn. He worked hard to support his family, his strong hands and quick mind earning him respect. But despite this, he remained an outsider, his heart heavy with the pain of his past. Tongo was a wealthy village. The village was known for its rock formation and caves. Years passed and Frempo grew into a tall, strong young man. His silence had become a part of him, a shield that protected his heart. But deep within, a storm was brewing, a force he could not yet understand. When Frempo turned 21, a great danger loomed on the horizon. A rival tribe known for their ruthlessness had set their sights on Frempo's new village, Tongo. The villagers, though brave, were no match for the approaching enemy. Fear gripped their hearts as they prepared for the inevitable. Frempo watched as the villagers armed themselves with spears and shields, their faces edged with worry. He wanted to help, to protect the people who had given him and his family a home. But what could he do? He felt useless. As the warriors stormed the village, something inside Frempo snapped. A surge of energy, unlike I had ever felt, coursed through his veins. Without warning, he opened his mouth and screamed. A scream filled him within 21 long years. But this was no ordinary scream. It was a sound that resonated with the earth itself. A cry that seemed to shake the heavens. The ground trembled. The air crackled with energy. And then, from Frempo's mouth emerged giants, towering beings, their eyes burning with an ancient fire. The giants, summoned by Frempo's scream, rose to their full height over the enemy warriors. With a single gesture, Frempo commanded them, his silent voice now with the most powerful weapon of all. The giant roared and charged forward, their massive footsteps shaking the earth. The enemy, once so confident, now fled in terror as the giant attacked them. The battle was over almost as soon as it began. The giant, under Frempo's command, drove the invaders from the village, leaving behind a trail of destruction. But the village was safe, its people saved by the power of the silent warrior. As the dust settled, the villagers stared in awe at Frempo, who stood in the center of it all, his chest heaving from effort. He was no longer just the mute boy who had lived among them. He was a warrior, a protector, a legend. From that day on, Frempo was revered as the silent warrior of Ghana, the one who had saved the village with the power of his voice. His past, filled with pain and rejection, was now a distant memory, overshadowed by his newfound purpose. Though he still could not speak, Frempo had found his voice in a way no one could ever imagine. In the village of Shama, word traveled swiftly. It was said that in a far-off village, a young man named Frempo had performed an ancient feat, saving an entire community from destruction. This news reached the ears of the king of Shama, who sat on his ornate throne, surrounded by elders. The king, who had once banished Frempo and his family from Shama, listened intently as his trusted messenger recounted the tale. "My king," the messenger began, "Frempo, the boy we cast out so many years ago, has become a warrior of great power. He summoned giants from the earth and defeated a tribe of invaders single-handedly." The king's heart, once hardened by fear and superstition, now ached with regret. Now he realized the grave mistake he had made. The king rose from his throne, his voice filled with determination. "We must bring Frempo and his family back to Shama," he declared. "We cast him out in fear, but now we must welcome him back with honor. But if he refused, we will attack the village. His mother was my maid. I still have authority over them." The elders exchanged uneasy glances, their wrinkled faces etched with concern. "But, my king," one of them spoke hesitantly, "how will Frempo and his family respond after the way we treated them? Will they forgive us? And if you order force, it might not end well." But the king would not listen. Without further delay, the king's orders were carried out. A group of the village's finest warriors, dressed in their ceremonial attire, set out on the journey. Along them were the elders, carrying gifts of gold, livestock, and finely woven clothes. They traveled with a sense of urgency, knowing that the future of Shama depended on their mission. After several days of travel, they arrived at the village where Frempo now lived with Ajua and Kojo. The sight of the warriors and elders bearing gifts and dressed in their finest drew the attention of the villagers. Whispers spread quickly. Why had the men of Shama come? Frempo, who had been walking in the fields, stood tall as the dead approached, his heart raised, but his face remained calm. He recognized one of the men of Shama, and the memories of his past, the pain of rejection, came flooding back. Yet, Frempo's soul had grown strong, and he had found peace in his new life. The elders and the warriors stepped forward and bowed deeply before Frempo and his family, a gesture that shook the onlookers. "Frempo," he began, his voice reverent, "we come on behalf of the king of Shama. We come to ask for your forgiveness and to beg you to return to our village as a savior." The elder who had once urged Frempo's banishment now spoke, his voice trembling with emotion. Frempo, we're wrong. We acted out of fear and ignorance. The king himself sent us to right this wrong, and we beg you and your family to come back to Shama, where you will be honored and celebrated as you deserve. Frempo listened in silence, his heart weight of the decision before him. He looked into the eyes of the men who had once cast him out, and in their eyes he saw genuine remorse. But the memories of how his parents hardened his heart. He shook his head in rejection of their offer. How could he turn his back on the people of Tongo who took them in with acceptance of who he is? No, he will not go back. He is dedicated to defending Tongo, and he will do that till the day he dies. The elders of Shama kept on insisting he went with them as the king had ordered. Frempo refused and became angry at their persistence. Warriors that came with them angrily attacked Frempo and the people of Tongo. Frempo screamed, and as he did so, giants came out of his mouth and attacked them. Some of them escaped to narrate their ordeal to the king of Shama. Since then, the people of Shama and other neighboring villages never ventured to attack the village of Tongo. In the quiet moments when the village was at peace, Frempo would sit alone, staring at the vast Ghana horizon. He knew that he would never again be an outcast, the one who was cast aside. He was a silent warrior, and his voice, though unheard, would echo through the ages, a legend in the heart of Ghana. Lesson learned: what you cast away will be appreciated by others. What you think is nothing can end up becoming something. God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise.
If you're enjoying this live, please do well to like, share, and subscribe to encourage us to bring you more amazing and educative contents. Seihei said, smiling, I love it. But the house, will we have enough space? We're inviting a lot of people. Derek said, reassuring, we'll make it work. Granddad's place is huge, and the backyard can fit everyone. Plus, he's got that old barn we can decorate. It'll be perfect. Seihei said, touched, broom jumping. Seihei said, excited, my love. I can't believe the wedding is so close. We need to start sending out invitations. Did you talk to your grandfather about using his house for the reception? Derek said, grinning, yeah, he's thrilled. You know how he loves a big family gathering. He's already talking about setting up the backyard and getting the barbecue pit ready. Seihei said, laughing, barbecue at a wedding? That's so American. We'll need to have some injera and Doro Wat too, you know. Derek said, teasing, of course. We'll have a food fusion wedding, barbecue, injera, and collard greens. Everyone's going to be talking about it for years, my love. You're amazing, Derek. I can't wait to see how everything comes together. Your grandfather must be excited too. Derek said, laughing, he's more excited about the food than the wedding. He keeps asking how many ribs we should grill. Seihei said, well, my family's bringing the coffee ceremony, so at least there'll be balance. Is Maya coming? She asked with a frown on her face. Derek said, I am not sure. Anyway, our wedding is going to be the best wedding ever, Seihei. Everyone will feel the love. Our love. Seihei sat down, remembering all the unpleasant encounters she had with Maya. Seihei always knew that marrying into a different culture would come with challenges. But Derek always made her feel at home whenever she visited him. But there was one person in his life who made her feel the opposite, his older sister, Maya. From the moment they met, Seihei felt Maya's eyes scanning her, judging her, and forming opinions that irritated Seihei. It wasn't just the way Maya looked at her. There was a heaviness in their interactions, something beneath the surface that made it clear Maya didn't trust her. The unease between them quickly grew, and for Seihei, it was a painful, lingering presence in her relationship with Derek. Maya and Seihei first met at a family dinner. Derek was excited, bringing Seihei to meet his family, and Seihei, dressed in her traditional Habesha chemise, had tried her best to fit in while staying true to her roots. The white flowing dress and gold embroidered design made her stand out in a room filled with people in casual modern clothing. Seihei had hoped her appearance would be a sign of respect, but the moment she walked in, Maya's sharp eyes locked onto her, immediately analyzing every detail. Seihei nervously adjusted the hem of her dress as she approached Maya. She greeted her with a smile, extending her hand. Seihei said, softly, hi, it's so nice to finally meet you. Derek talks about you all the time. Maya looked at her hand, hesitating for just a moment before shaking it. Her smile was thin, more out of obligation than warmth. Maya said, A little too coolly. Oh, does he now? Sehei felt the tension instantly, and the evening didn't get any easier. Throughout the night, Sehei noticed how Maya kept glancing at her, watching her every move. When Derek's mother asked Sehei about her life in Ethiopia, Sehei explained proudly about her culture, her upbringing, and her journey to America. She tried to answer every question with grace, even though she felt Maya's eyes boring into her. Maya said, chuckling softly but loud enough for everyone to hear, "Wow, your accent is so strong. It must be hard for people to understand you sometimes." The room went silent. Sehei looked down at her plate, trying to maintain composure. Derek shot his sister a look, but Maya just shrugged, unbothered by the tension she had caused. Derek said, "Softly, Maya. Come on." But the damage was done. Sehei had come to this dinner excited to meet Derek's family, but now, all she wanted was to disappear. Maya said, smirking during one gathering. "So Sehei, are you planning to stay in the US for good? I guess getting married makes that a lot easier, huh?" The implication was clear. Maya thought Sehei was only marrying Derek for a green card. It was a hurtful assumption, one that Sehei had tried to brush off, but it weighed on her. The idea that someone, especially Derek's sister, could think she was using him for something as transactional as citizenship, cut deep. That evening, after another tense family dinner, Sehei broke down in tears as she and Derek drove home. Sehei said, sobbing, "Why doesn't she like me, Derek? What did I do wrong?" Derek, his hand resting gently on her knee, sighed deeply. He had always been the peacekeeper in his family, but now he felt torn between the two women he loved most in his life. Derek said, trying to comfort her, "You didn't do anything wrong, my love. Maya's just stubborn. She's protective of me, and I think she's worried about things that don't even make sense." Sehei said, wiping her tears, "She thinks I'm only with you for papers. She thinks I'm using you." Derek clenched his jaw, anger flaring in his chest. He hated how Maya was making Sehei feel. In his eyes, Sehei was the most genuine, loving person he had ever met. He knew her heart, and he knew that Maya's assumptions couldn't be further from the truth. Derek said, firmly, "Maya doesn't know you like I do. Don't let her get in your head. I'll talk to her. This has to stop." But talking to Maya was easier said than done. Every time Derek tried to address the issue, Maya brushed it off, claiming she was just looking out for him. Maya said, defensively, "See, I want the best for you. I'm just making sure she's the real deal, Derek. I don't want you getting hurt." Derek said, frustrated, "Are you insinuating that Teshe is not the best for me? You don't know her like I do. She loves me, Maya, and she's not using me. You need to stop this idea you have in your head. Your jokes and the comments hurt her." Maya folded her arms, clearly unconvinced. For her, this was more than just about Sehei. It was about her fear of losing her brother to someone she didn't understand. One weekend, Maya visited. Sehei was in the kitchen with excitement, preparing a traditional Ethiopian meal that Derek loved so much. The kitchen was filled with the rich aromas of berbere spice and injera. Sehei was happy. Cooking was her hobby, hoping to share a piece of her culture with Derek. But a knock on the door changed everything. Maya, however, wrinkled her nose the moment she stepped into the house. Maya said, fanning the air, "What is that smell?" Sehei turned from the stove, her heart sinking. She had worked hard on this meal, wanting it to be a gesture of love, but Maya's reaction felt like a punch to the gut. Sehei said, softly, "It's Doro Wat. It's one of our traditional dishes." Maya walked over to the pot, peering inside with mild disgust. Maya said, shrugging, "I guess it's an acquired taste." Sehei bit her lip, trying to hold back the frustration building inside her. She had tried so hard to bridge the gap between her and Maya, but every attempt felt like it was being shot down. That evening, as they sat around the dinner table, Derek eagerly dug into the food, complimenting Sehei on her cooking. Maya, on the other hand, pushed her plate around, barely touching the meal. Derek said, smiling at Sehei, "This is amazing, my love. You really outdid yourself." Seihei smiled, but it was tinged with sadness. She could feel Maya's disapproval from across the table. The tension finally boiled over during the wedding preparations. Seihei had been working hard to make sure everything was perfect, but Maya had been critical every step of the way. Maya said, casually Tsiha, struggling to pronounce her name. Tsheh await Seihei. She corrected Maya. She is not available for her drama today. Are you going to wear one of those big traditional dresses at the wedding? You know, it's going to look a little outdated, right? Said Maya. Seihei froze. She had always planned to incorporate her Ethiopian culture into the wedding, but Maya's constant remarks about her choices made her upset. Seihei said, quietly, I want to wear something that represents my culture. Maya rolled her eyes, clearly unimpressed. Maya said, laughing lightly, I just don't want you to embarrass yourself, Seihei. This is America. People don't really get all that traditional stuff. That was the last straw. Seihei had tried to keep the peace, to be respectful of Maya's opinions, but now she couldn't hold back her hurt any longer. Seihei got up angrily, charged towards Maya, giving her a loud slap on her face. Why do you hate me so much? I've done nothing but try to be a part of this family, and all you do is tear me down. I'm not using Derek, I love him. I'm not trying to change who I am, but I've tried to meet you halfway, and it's never enough. The room went silent. Maya looked taken aback, as if she hadn't expected Seihei to confront her so directly. Derek, standing nearby, stepped in between them, his expression filled with frustration and hurt. Seihei continued angrily, oh. She was very, very angry. She had reached her breaking point. For months, she had tried to be patient with Maya, brushing off the jabs and ignoring the sideways comments. Seihei said, voice trembling but firm, I don't know what I did to make you dislike me, but I've had enough. You've made it clear you think I'm here for papers, but let me tell you something. I'm already a citizen of this country. My family moved to the US when I was a child because my father's job brought us here. We lived in DC for years before we went back to Ethiopia when his contract expired. I didn't come to America to get anything from anyone. I was raised here, and I'm proud of where I come from. Maya stood, arms crossed, but there was a moment of surprise on her face. Seihei continued, pouring out her emotions. Seihei said, and about my accent? You make fun of it as if it's something to be ashamed of, but let me tell you, this accent is a part of me. Everybody, every nation in this world has an accent. You have an accent. My accent is my heritage. You should appreciate and cherish every accent from the motherland, which should be a reminder of how your forefathers that were brought here used to speak. It's the language of my ancestors. Twisting my tongue the way I do reminds me of the pride and resilience of my people. You might not understand it, but I wear it with honor. Just because I don't sound like you doesn't mean I'm any less of a person, or that I'm trying to fit into some mold you've created for me. Her hands shook slightly as she spoke, but the words flowed from her heart. Seihei said, and the food you can't seem to handle, the spices, the smells, it's all part of our culture. The natural spices we use aren't just about flavor, Maya. They're medicinal. They heal and nourish the body in ways you might never know because you don't take the time to understand. You don't have to like it, but you do have to respect it. Just like I've tried to respect your culture, even when it's been hard. The room fell silent, the weight of Seihei's words hanging in the air. Maya opened her mouth to respond, but she couldn't find the words. For the first time, she seemed to realize the depth of her hurtful comments. Seihei's eyes were filled with tears, but her voice remained steady. Seihei said, Derek is not a property that you owe, and that is the way you see him. Then the moment he puts the ring on my lovely-looking finger, he has become my property. Is that clear? Or do you want me to repeat myself? I love Derek, and I want to be a part of this family. But I won't keep quiet while you tear me down for being who I am. With that, Seihei walked out of the room, leaving behind a stunned silence. Derek said, looking at Maya, that serves you right, that was the last time she saw Maya. Derek said, Mom is waiting for us. Snapping Seihei out of her flashback moment. She grabbed his hand and off they went to see Miss Thomas, Derek's mom. Miss Thomas, Derek's mom, walked into the living room smiling warmly, telling everyone of tea how excited she is about the upcoming wedding. So, Sehei, have you heard of jumping the broom on your wedding day? Sehei looks puzzled. Jokingly, I've heard of jumping for joy, but jumping the broom? I don't understand. Is this how weddings start here? The room chuckles lightly, but her smile fades as she looks at Derek for clarification. Derek said, playfully nudging her, babe. It's an old African-American tradition. We jump the broom at the end of the ceremony. It's a symbol of starting a new life together. Sehei's brow furrows. She glances at her mother, who is wearing a disapproving expression, her head tilted slightly as she frowns. Her father, stern yet composed, crosses his arms in silence. Sehei's mother said, with a thick Ethiopian accent, we do not jump over brooms in Ethiopia. We sweep the floor with a broom. So I don't understand. Do you disapprove of my daughter marrying your son? The room grows tense as the cultural divide begins to emerge. Miss Thomas said, attempting to soften the mood, oh no, we loved Saya, she is such a sweet girl. I am sorry that we did not tell you about this before. Jumping the broom, as it is called, started many generations ago. Miss Thomas said dramatically, back when our people were working on the farm, they didn't have the freedom to marry the way others did. They couldn't go to a church, couldn't wear fancy dresses, but love found a way. Instead of a minister or vows, they'd jump over a broom as a sign of their union. It was all they had, but it meant everything. Sehei listens intently. Her expression softens, touched by the story, but she still hesitates. Sehei said, thoughtfully, that's beautiful. But in Ethiopia, we don't have that history. We have different traditions like the coffee ceremony, where family comes together to bless the union. It's sacred to us. Sehei's mother nods approvingly, while Derek looks caught in the middle, his heart pulling between both worlds. Derek said, softly, I get it, love. But this is a big part of my family, just like your traditions are for you. Can't we, I don't know, combine them? Suddenly, Derek's younger sister, Lisa, a sassy 16-year-old with a love for TikTok, bursts in with excitement. Lisa said, twirling, why not jump the broom while having the coffee ceremony? You know, sip, then jump? Ethiopian American style. The tension breaks with laughter. Even Sehei's parents crack a smile, though her father remains silent, thoughtful. Sehei said, sniffing the air, now this smells like unity. The food. Not so sure about the broom yet. Derek grins, handing her a plate of injera. Derek said, laughing, if we can make Doro Wat and fried chicken work together, I think we can handle the broom. The big day has arrived. The venue is a blend of cultures, African-American decorations mingled with Ethiopian fabrics and colors. In one corner, there's an elaborate coffee ceremony setup. In another, a broom rests near the altar. The wedding day was filled with joy and laughter. The wedding day buzzed with joy as relatives from both sides mingled, laughing and dancing to lively music. Derek's family embraced Ethiopian traditions, trying spicy dishes with excitement, while Sehei's relatives admired the colorful decor. Laughter echoed, children played, and the air was filled with love and celebration. Sehei, looking stunning in her wedding gown, stands at the entrance. Her heart is racing as she approaches Derek, waiting for her at the altar, grinning with love. Sehei said, whispering to herself, jump the broom. I can do this. Sehei looks at Derek, and with a deep breath, she smiles. Derek squeezes her hand, offering her a silent promise of support. Derek said, softly together. And with that, they both jumped the broom, laughter and cheers erupting from both families. As they land on the other side, Sehei's family steps forward, starting the coffee ceremony. Incense fills the air, and small cups of steaming coffee are passed around. Sehei's father said, lifting a cup to unity, to love, and to our children's future. The room erupts into celebration. Sehei and Derek, both relieved and joyful, share a kiss, surrounded by the warmth of both their cultures, united by love. laughing and celebrating together in the background, two worlds intertwined forever. Lesson learned: love and respect for each other's cultures can bridge even the widest gaps, leading to understanding and unity. Let us embrace our differences with love. If you're enjoying this live, please do well to like, share, and subscribe to encourage us to bring you more amazing and educative contents.
She looks different, Natasha screamed. New Orleans, a city known for its distinctive music, the sound of jazz playing down the street, people dancing and singing to the beat, the aroma of Creole cuisine fill the air, people getting ready for the upcoming Mardi Gras, a night of joy, happiness, and celebration with people and visitors, tourists admiring the beauty of the festival. But not so happy was Natasha, a mother of two, who just gave birth to her fourth child. Natasha was a down-to-earth woman, always sacrificing her time for her family. Her grandparents worked tirelessly on the farm to support her when she was young. Her dark skin would glow under the sun. She was tall and beautiful, always happy. She met Jaden, who was a factory worker. Both fell in love and decided to start a family. They had Tyrone, Isaiah, and Sophia, and they decided to have one more baby Amara. She was unlike anyone in the family, a light in complexion child amidst a family of dark-skinned relatives. From the moment she opened her eyes, her presence stirred discomfort in the heart of those who should have loved her for the most. Her complexion shocked Natasha and Jaden. Natasha looks at the baby with a hint of confusion and sadness. The father turns away, his expression hardening. Natasha whispering, "Why is she so different?" Jaden coldly, "She must have been switched." But this was not so, because Natasha was the only woman in labor at the hospital on that day. And so, from the day she was born, Amara was marked, not with love, but with suspicion. Even her own father refused to hold her, convinced that she was the result of someone's unspoken betrayal. She would be left alone to fend for herself. Even her grandmother did not see her as a member of the family, except for her grandfather, who saw her as a special gift from God. Amara's siblings refused to share her toys with her, and oftentimes always chased her out of their rooms. Amara would cry and cry, always sad and never understanding why she was treated with such hostility. She would look at herself and would begin to scratch her skin to see if it would change to her family skin tone. The only time she felt love was when Grandpa visited. As Amara grew, so did the distance between her and her family. Her skin complexion became a constant reminder of her difference, a difference that her siblings did not accept. Tyrone, look at her, the little ghost. She doesn't belong here. Sophia laughing, ha ha ha. Maybe she was switched at birth. She doesn't even look like us. Then Isaiah, Markham, don't touch my toys. You will make them dirty with your ghost hands. The taunt became her daily reality. While other children ran freely under the sun, Amara often found herself hiding in the shadow, not from the sun, but from the cruel words that cut deeper than she could understand. At family gathering, her isolation was even more pronounced. Once, during a family photo, she was desperately placed at the edge of the group, half out of the frame. Her mother's whispered instructions to the photographer still echoed in her mind. Her mother said, "Make sure she doesn't stand out too much. She's not part of this family." In her mind, this was another person's daughter. "Look, it is the ghost girl. Let's see if she disappears in the sunlight." Another child said, "Maybe she's a vampire. Run before she bites you." The children ran away, leaving Amara standing alone, tears welling up in her eyes. Amara cried and cried. She was lonely. Even the neighborhood children saw her as an outsider, someone to be ridiculed rather than befriend. She struggled to endure the pain, hardship, and rejection which persisted every day. Her schoolmates would chase her down the street, take her snacks, and beat her up because of her skin tone. School, a place meant for learning and growth, became a battleground. Amara's skin tone made her a target for ridicule and being talked down at. Dark complexion classmates saw her as an outsider, someone who wouldn't belong. A student said, "Hey, light bright, think you are better than us?" Another one screamed, "Go play with your own kind." "Oh, wait, you don't have any." Amara's eyes fill with tears, but she holds her head high and walks away, trying to ignore the laughter that echoes behind her. No matter how hard she tried to fit in, Amara was always reminded of her difference. One day, in the school cafeteria, Amara sat down at a table with her lunch tray, but the students nearby quickly got up and moved away as usual. "Don't sit near her. It is like she's contagious." Then the other students whispering, "I bet she bleaches her skin to look like that. It is so fake." Amara lowered her head, trying to disappear into the crowd. The teacher had tried to stop them from treating her badly, but nothing worked. Amara, now 17, was getting ready for a school dance. She stood in front of a mirror, her skin tone contrasting with the dark dress she wore. Her mother entered the room, eyes filled with disdain. "Why bother going? No one wants you there. You are just going to embarrass yourself," her mother said. Her mother's words, sharp and cold, pierced through her like a knife. Is she not tired of repeating the same words all the time? Her own family made her feel like an intruder in her own life. Amara arrives at the dance. She stands alone in a corner, watching others laugh and dance. The isolation deepens as no one approaches her. Every day was a reminder of her exclusion, of the skin tone being a barrier between her and the world she so desperately wanted to be part of. Did you see what Amara is wearing? She's trying way too hard to fit in, the other girl said, as if any of the boys would ask her to dance. She's like a ghost flowing around the room. Amara leans against the wall, fighting back tears as the girls walk away laughing. The dance, meant to be a night of fun, became just another painful reminder of her isolation. At the dance, Amara finally gathers the courage to approach a group of classmates, but as she gets closer, they abruptly disperse, leaving her standing alone once again. Even in a room full of people, Amara was utterly alone. One day, the principal of the school announced that the school will be shut down for lack of funding because it serves only the low-income families. Parents were angry because the only school left in the city would be a private school and there was no way they could afford this. All the children were sad, including Amara. This was the only high school in their town. If the school was to close down, none of them would be able to go to college. 2 weeks later, the principal received a letter from the government that the only way the school would remain open is if the school participates in the state's spelling zeal competition and wins. The worst part was that they only had 3 days to practice for the competition. "What?" screamed the English teacher. "That is impossible. It usually takes 3 to 4 months to practice for this, but 3 days? No way, we can't do this." The students were sad. The teachers were fuming. They would have to start looking for job elsewhere. Amara loved reading. She would spend time reading to take her mind off her situation. One day, she walked up to the principal's office. She said, "Good morning, sir." Principal said, "Good morning." Amara said, "I want to go for the spelling zeal competition. I can do it." The principal said to her, "Are you sure you can do it?" Amara assured the principal. The third day, Amara and the school, accompanied by some students, set out for the competition. In the bus, no one spoke to her except the teacher. They got into the hall. Many students from other schools were present. Amara was nervous at first, worried about what people would say of her if she failed. At the end of the competition, her school came third. The position was not welcomed with excitement. People started raining negative words on her. Amara was sad. She felt rejected. All her effort to be appreciated for once had been dashed to pieces. The following day, the principal of the school received an email from the school district superintendent superintendent, stating that Louisiana 4 High School will no longer be shut down because of their unique performance at the spelling zeal competition. When this was announced to the whole school, everybody, including the parents, started clapping for Amara. A beautiful tiara was placed on her head. She was greatly celebrated because of her performance, cancelled the demolition of the school building. Her family respected and treated her with kindness. Lesson learned. The stone which the builder rejected has now become the chief cornerstone. Let us choose love. Love conquers all. And let us appreciate one another. And remember that it is good to say appreciative words to people. Have you appreciated your friends? Have you appreciated your parents? Please do so right now. Appreciate them no matter what.
If you're enjoying this live, please do well to like, share, and subscribe to encourage us to bring you more amazing and educative contents.
Emily, this is madness, her mother exclaimed, her voice trembling with emotion. You can't seriously think about leaving everything behind for some man from a village in Africa. What about your future, your career, your life here? Emily was no ordinary tourist. She has spent years studying anthropology and had a deep respect for the cultures she encountered. One day during her birthday party, a friend gave her a gift, a flight ticket to Kenya. She knew that Emily's desire was to observe the Maasai tribe of Kenya. Emily was happy and ready to go on this adventure. She was captivated by the beauty of the Maasai people, their colorful attire, and the grace with which they moved in harmony with the land. The next week, she took a flight to Kenya, was met with a colleague, Victoria, who had been studying the Maasai tribe for years. Victoria and Emily set out to visit the city of Isiolo. On their way, Emily saw 2 stray dogs. Being a dog lover, touched one of them, and all of a sudden, the dogs bounced on her and went for her legs. She screamed in pain. Some store owners quickly rushed to help her. Emily was rushed to the hospital in pain. She was given some medication and sent home. The following day, Emily and Victoria set out to go to Maasai village. When they got to the safari, Emily got down to take pictures. She loved wildlife. Unknown to her, a lion was watching her from afar, sighting her as a prey, moved slowly towards her. Emily heard some sounds coming from the bushes behind. As she turned, she found herself face to face with a hungry lion. She froze, couldn't scream, was just staring at the lion in shock. All of a sudden, she noticed a dark figure standing by the lion. It was a Maasai man wearing a red shuka. It was the most beautiful figure she had ever seen, dressed in Maasai traditional attire and holding a stick. The lion looked at Oloip and walked away into the bushes. Emily was relieved. She jumped on Oloip. Instantly, he pushed her away. A female, a foreigner, jumping on a Maasai man in public, that was a taboo. Emily fell down and hit her wounded leg on a rock, which caused it to start bleeding. Oloip, seeing the wounded leg, quickly tore a piece of cloth from his body, wrapped it round her leg to stop the bleeding. He called his friends and they took Emily and Victoria to the village. Oloip was a warrior of the Maasai, known for his strength, wisdom, and deep respect for his heritage. His life was one of routine, herding cattle, participating in the rights of his people, and embracing the custom passed down through generations. Oloip was intrigued by Emily's genuine interest in his culture. Emily, on the other hand, woke up to the sound of women in her room, whispering and giggling, intrigued by a stranger different from what they have ever seen in their lives. She got up to use the restroom. One of the Maasai ladies took her to the bushes, an open place nearby. Emily couldn't believe her eyes. No restroom? This was different from what she was used to. Oloib's mother took her into the hut, prepared a delicious meal made with cow milk for her, but Emily couldn't eat it. It looked and smelled strange, with flies all over the bowl. This made Oloib's mother upset. She reported this incident to Oloib. The following day, Emily, Victoria, and Oloib set out to visit another village where Oloib's sister was given in marriage at the age of 14 years to an old man, old enough to be her grandfather. And to make matters worse, as the fifth wife, Emily was shocked and upset. She couldn't believe her eyes. As days passed by, Oloib found himself often alone with Emily, talking late into the night under the vast Kenya sky. They spoke of their lives, the culture and traditions of the Maasai, and the vast difference between their worlds. Oloib shared the stories of his ancestors, while Emily spoke of her life in the United States, a world so different from his own. They both started seeing each other more often, and from there, having feelings for each other. A Maasai warrior and a foreign woman, it was unheard of. A love that defied tradition and expectations. Oloib's parents, particularly his father, who was a respected elder in the community, were deeply troubled by Emily and Oloib's closeness. They had always expected Oloib to marry a Maasai woman, someone who understood and respected their customs, someone who would bear children who would carry on the legacy of their people. The idea of their son marrying a foreigner was not only shocking, but also unexpected. Oloib, you must understand that our ways are sacred, his father said one evening, his voice heavy with concern. Our ancestors have lived by this custom for generations. To break them is to bring dishonor to our family and our people. Oloib was torn. He loved his family, his culture, his people, but he also loved Emily. He admired her curiosity, her intelligence, and the way she embraced life with an open heart. He knew that love was not just a fleeting romance. It was something deeper, something worth fighting for. But how could he recognize this with the expectation of his family and his community? Emily, on the other hand, faced her own challenges. When she returned to the United States, she found herself confronted by the harsh reality of her love for Oloib. Her parents, who had always been supportive of her travels and her academic pursuits, were horrified when they learned of her relationship with a Maasai man. "Emily, this is madness," her mother exclaimed, her voice trembling with emotion. "You can't seriously think about leaving everything behind for some man from a village in Africa. What about your future, your career, your life here?" Her father was more measured, but his disapproval was just as clear. "Emily, you've always been independent, and we have supported you in all your endeavors. But this is different. You are talking about a life that is so far removed from everything you've known. Have you thought about the challenges you face, the cultural differences, the sacrifices you will have to make?" Emily had thought about all this, of course. She knew that life with Oloib would not be easy. One day, she went to get some coffee from the coffee shop where she met her ex-boyfriend. He begged her to come back to him and promised to make things right. Soon, he moved in with Emily and their relationship continued. It wasn't long before she discovered that he was out of job and needed a place to stay. She was hurt and the relationship ended. Oloib was always thinking of Emily. He couldn't concentrate on his daily chores. He got up one day, packed his bag, and set out to go to the United States. He got his visa, bought his ticket, and off he went to search for Emily. He got to California, dressed in his Maasai attire. People were staring at him. He was overwhelmed by his new environment, confused, couldn't speak English. All he could do was show people Emily's picture. He almost got hit by cars while crossing the street. He couldn't stand the strange foods in the restaurants. After spending 5 days on the street in California, Oloib went back to Kenya dejected. Emily, after separating from her ex, decided to return to Kenya. She knew that her love for Oloip was stronger than before, and for her relationship to survive, she would need to immerse herself in Oloip's world. Emily packed her belongings, left the US without telling her parents. She got to Kenya determined to make their relationship work. The moment Oloip saw her, he knew in his mind he would have to make their relationship work. Emily began learning the Maasai language, participating in their daily routines, and trying to understand the customs that were so important to them. She discovered that menstruation was a taboo discussions among the Maasai girls and women due to their culture. She devised a way of telling them what they can use during this period to be hygienic. The villagers eventually embraced this new way, and this made the villagers happy with the new method, and from there on they totally accepted and loved Emily dearly. Emily squeezed Oloip's hand, and the two now happily married with a baby on the way. Their relationship showed their families and community that their love was not about rejecting their cultures, but about embracing the beauty of both. Emily would continue to learn and adapt, while Oloip would work to bridge the gap between their worlds. They would find common ground, build a life that honor both of their heritages, and prove that love could conquer the barriers that divided them. Lesson learned: love is a powerful force that brings us together as one. Love is good, love is kind, and never ends. It does not envy, boast, or rejoice in wrongdoing.
If you're enjoying this live, please do well to like, share, and subscribe to encourage us to bring you more amazing and educative contents.